Hi, Cozy Adventures. So I'm finishing up my year of perfume exploration and collecting, and I am making a rule for myself that I'm not buying anything else this year unless it is something that is something I can buy from with Mercari money. Like if I sell some of my stuff and I have money in my Mercari account, then I can buy stuff from other people on Mercari, and I'll still like sneak into Sephora and Ulta and sniff some new things that way. But I have a lot of stuff actually. I kind of went deep into my first year, and I don't want to keep accumulating and not enjoy what I have, and also not only enjoy what I have, but keep sifting out what I don't want to keep. And because I would sometimes go down like rabbit holes with different notes or things like that and get a bunch of stuff. And I realized I did that last month or the month before, a couple months ago, I think, with Gardenia and Tuberose. So I did a Tuberose a little bit before when I was doing bubblegummy scents, but this is Tuberose, like the Fleshy Floral Tuberose. And both of them are these, people call them fleshy, white florals, fleshy, waxy. They have like a thickness to them. And I realized I really like those notes actually in the summer, because I like that they have this kind of humidity to them that can feel sexy actually wearing in the summer heat. And it feels like it kind of opens them up and they kind of like breathe in the heat. So I was like, oh, I need to like explore these notes now while it's still summer. So I have Gardenia fragrances. I have Gardenia and Tuberose fragrances that I'm going to do separately because there's a lot of those. And then I have fragrances that are just Tuberose to look at and talk about. So I'm starting with Gardenia, and this is the Elizabeth Taylor Gardenia perfume, and it's a pretty green bottle with this top that I'm not sure if it's plastic or glass too. But it's very, very inexpensive, definitely a cheapie. So if you're curious about it, you can totally get it. It's very gardenia, like that is what it's supposed to smell like, is a fresh gardenia in bloom, which I don't live somewhere where they're blooming a lot, but it really does smell like a fresh flower. And I see why people think it's kind of old smelling, because this is a note that was in a lot of maybe 80s perfumes, I'm not sure. But I like it. Hi, Cozy Adventures. Before I get into my Gardenia and Tuberose fragrances, I wanted to share with you my last fragrance that I bought not on Mercari for the year, because I'm going to be on a no buy unless it's with money that I get from Mercari from selling things. So this is Lychee Martini by Just Juice. It was just like a $11 purchase, but it came with a lot missing, so that's weird. I wrote a little complaining review, so we'll see what happens with that. But I am recently single, and this fragrance feels like it's celebrating that. To me, lychee martinis smell like going out and socializing, and they also smell like sexy girls, and I'm excited to socialize more with my queer community. And this fragrance, it can smell good, or it can start to smell a little bit bad to me, but it's because of something that I'm particularly sensitive to. I think it has aldehydes in it, and that smells, aldehydes, like Chanel No. 5 has a lot of aldehydes, and to me that part of that fragrance and that part of this fragrance smells a little bit like public bathroom. But other than that, it really does smell like a photorealistic lychee martini. I think it needs more lychee juiciness, and that might balance out that sort of chemically cleaner kind of smell that I can smell. I saw someone said it smelled like urinal cakes, so that's probably the aldehydes for them too. But I love lychee martinis. I love the sort of sexy feeling I get from them, and I love that my last fragrance of the year is that, and that it will celebrate my new adventures in singledom. Hi, Cozy Adventures. I also wanted to say about the lychee martini perfume that the aldehydes, if you like aldehydes, smell like clean and sparkling. So that makes sense that it's added to a fragrance that is a lychee martini to give it that alcoholic, sparkling feeling. But yeah, I just am sensitive to it and don't really like it. All right, so now on to Gardenia, and yeah, we're just gonna do Gardenia for now, but then we're gonna be doing Tuberose as well. So today I was trying out all my Gardenia fragrances, like fragrances that are Gardenia heavy that don't have Tuberose. And this is the Elizabeth Taylor Gardenia with the pretty green bottle. And this one smells like straight up Gardenia, like really strong. Like you could imagine smelling it in someone's backyard, putting your face in it. Gardenia, and it does have that thickness to it that I like from that Gardenia and Tuberose both have. Yeah, fleshiness, like humidity sort of to it. And that can gross people out, or you can really like it. And I think I can overdose on it easily, and I can maybe not want to smell like it that often because it smells dated to a lot of people, and I don't want to like have that effect on the environment smelling like something that a lot of people don't like, but I like it. I think it's a really special fragrance. And Gardenia is one of those that they can't distill from a gardenia, so it has to be made of accords from other chemicals and flowers and whatever else they mix to make an accord, like something that's supposed to smell like something you can't actually get the essence of. So I think they did kind of an awesome job, and it's a really cool fragrance. So that is Elizabeth Taylor's Gardenia. And then let's see, the other ones are all like very different twists on it. I will tell you, I realized that both Crystal Noir, Versace's Crystal Noir, and Tom Orchid I'm tired. Tom Ford's Black Orchid have Gardenia, and I was just noticing these different things that I kind of am attracted to and find a sexiness at first sniff often have a Gardenia in there. This one is a musky, kind of soapy, sexy Gardenia, and this one is a spicy, dark, thick Gardenia. Hi, Cozy Adventures. Continuing on with my sexy, thick, humid Gardenia and Tuberose fragrances, the fleshy white florals. And these are fragrances that do not have the Tuberose, because I have a bunch next that'll have both Gardenia and Tuberose. And they're all different kinds. So I just did Gardenia by Elizabeth Taylor, Crystal Noir by Versace, and Black Orchid by Tom Ford. And then the next few I have are sweet ones. I guess all the rest ones are pretty sweet, but different kinds of sweet. One is this Betty Boop Princess, which I got really cheap, I think, on Joma Shop. I think it comes usually with like a Betty Boop on top of it, but I didn't need that. And this one smells like an interesting mix of different fragrances that I like. I don't think it lists a licorice note, but it really reminds me of Lolita Lampica, which is very licorice heavy. So I'm not sure what that is. That makes me really think of Lolita Lampica and sweet, Lolita Lampica sweet fragrance as well. It also has, I think, like ocean notes or watery notes or something. And that has a freshness that reminds me of like cologne, like men's cologne from the 90s or from the 80s. Reminds me of my dad, kind of, this sort of like soapy cologne-y smell that I don't love, but is an interesting mix with this sort of sweet base. And then the gardenia gives it some thickness. And it does have like a sweet vanilla as well. So that's my Betty Boop, Princess Betty Boop. And yeah, it's such an interesting mix of this like sweet, comforting, but also very fresh kind of ocean spray, clean soap smell as well. And then Fancy by Jessica Simpson. It's interesting how when I was sitting thinking about different gardenia fragrances and tuberose fragrances, I would like think of, like I did with Black Orchid and Fancy, where I was sort of like, does that have that in there? There's just some sort of thick, humid aspect to them that made me realize that they probably had gardenia, and they did. Fancy is like a caramely, very sweet, on the more gourmand end gardenia. Hi, Cozy Adventures. I just sprayed Symmetry's Love, which has gardenia. And I'm just getting to know this fragrance. There's something about it it's got the sexy to me. And it's got a little tiny bit of lactonic, but it's mostly more of a musky sweetness. I think it has rose as well. Yeah, there's something interesting in the combination. And in both this one and in the Betty Boop, Princess Betty Boop fragrances, I started to smell, and actually the last one I'm going to talk about for gardenia, I can start to smell the rubbery gardenia notes. So something about the accord that a lot of fragrances use that is gardenia-y can also go kind of rubbery. And that I don't like as much. Some people like that and find that kind of sexy, like a rubbery, latexy smell. It can also go kind of doll head. Like this one's definitely doll head. And actually that's the main thing that it reminds me of Lolita Lampica might be, is that it's got that doll head sweetness, kind of slightly powdery sweetness. This one is very powdery. This is Immense. And I love it because it has a kind of Empire State Building on it. It's a super, yeah, I feel like it's pretty strongly giving a rubbery smell now. When I first smelled this, I really liked it, but I think it was a little colder out. And there's something about the warmer weather that's bringing out too much of a chemical rubbery smell, and it also has patchouli in it. And so it brings out a little too much of the patchouli for me. So I think I'm going to put it back into the cupboard until it gets cold and then see if I like it again. I liked it for sleeping. It was one of those like just nice, strong, powdery, vanilla enveloping fragrances that feels cooling. And I like that for sleeping. But yeah, and gardenia, it's like powdery and musky and fresh kind of smelling, but the gardenia makes it thicker, or right now might be making it more rubbery. It's really not smelling good from the cap right now. I sprayed it on myself earlier and it wasn't so bad. It was more the patchouli that was bothering me once it was on my skin. But it's an interesting fragrance and a fun bottle for someone that loves NYC. And those are my gardenia fragrances. So I love that I'm starting to be able to pick up. I love whenever I do a deep dive into a note, I start to be able to like realize, oh, that's the element that makes this smell like this, and start just noticing more in the collection I already have what what notes they have in common and all of that stuff. And yeah, I will next share with you fragrances that are both gardenia and tuberose, which is a lot. I have a lot of those. All these samples. So decants, and then I'll end with, or no, these aren't those. These are the ones that have just tuberose. So I'm not doing those next. I'm doing the ones that have both notes, and there's too many for me to hold up of them. Or maybe not. I mean, I'll show you some of them. Yeah. And those are notes that are together in Fracas, which is like a vintage perfume that Madonna used to wear, and there's sort of a known combo for making something sexy, or at least during that time period. And Kim Kardashian's first perfume, I think, or namesake perfume, has those two notes. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see when I'm trying all of them in the same day or the same couple of days, how they compare to each other, because I haven't tested yet. Hey Cozy Adventurers, I'm continuing on with my exploration of gardenia and tuberose, these thick, waxy, sweaty, what else are they described as? Whatever they are, like white florals. And I discovered that I like that heavy white floral in the summer because I like that it kind of goes along with the humidity in the air. So I also have like a funny story, because I've been testing different gardenia and tuberose fragrances the past couple days, and my neighbor who shares a hallway with me was like, do you smell like there's like dirty feet smell? And I wonder if it was the gardenia and tuberose wafting out of my apartment. I didn't think at first, but then I had a friend over briefly yesterday who was like, as soon as he stepped into my apartment, he was like, it smells like popcorn in here, like rich buttery popcorn. And I was like, is that the gardenia tuberose? Because people talk about those being buttery florals. So I like had him smell a couple of the perfumes, and he was like, yeah, like these mixed together is probably what I'm smelling. So I am understanding how a lot of people smell that kind of profile out of these flowers. To me, I can smell like a little bit of indolicness, like a little bit of animalics, I guess, on them, but it doesn't smell dirty to me. I don't smell, or if it does, it smells like a flower kind of dirty, like a flower that's like past its prime, and there's sort of a little smell to it. It doesn't smell like a human dirty stink to me. Anyway, today I'm not going in depth with these because I don't love this profile enough to like do full wears of each of these fragrances. I'm just kind of like, getting familiar with the notes. And so I have a bunch that all have both tuberose and gardenia as like prominent notes in them. And a lot of them are vintage. So I have Sand and Sable, which is Cody, I think. Yeah, which is Cody, and Javon Island Gardenia. I don't particularly like either of these, but I definitely like Sand and Sable more. And it was called that because it's supposed to be, you could wear it on the beach or you could wear it with your fur coat out at night. Hey, Cozy Adventures. So I am continuing on with my exploration of fragrances that have both gardenia and tuberose featured in them prominently. And I started with Javon's Island Gardenia and Cody's Sand and Sable. And Island Gardenia smells, maybe it smelled good at first, like when it was first made, which I think was like in the 80s or something. But you know what? That's what it kind of smells like, is like 80s perfume in a way I don't like. And I think a lot of people describe that as being like hairspray or more heady. But I feel like it could give me a headache. So that is Island Gardenia. And then Sand and Sable, the name I think is to say that this fragrance works both on the beach and in a fur coat going out at night. It's a cute little tiny bottle. This one I like more. I still don't like love it, but as far as this profile goes, I like it more. This one also has jasmine and rose, which maybe rounds it out more. Tuberose and Gardenia are both, especially Tuberose, are known for like being these sexy, like there's something like thick, sexy, sweaty about them. And I can't remember if it was this culture or other cultures where like tuberose might be forbidden for women to wear because it was too sexy or it would drive them too wild or something. So there's something that in people's minds gets stimulated that smells like sort of human desire and human smells, and to some people dirty smells. And also there's like a creamy or buttery aspect to them that can come out, and sweetness. Yeah, so this one is cute. I like it okay on my skin. It's not overwhelming. One that's like maybe the most famous of this profile is Fracas, and this was one that like Madonna's favorite. A lot of like women celebrities. It was considered this sort of like bold, audacious, you know, takes up a lot of space kind of tuberose and gardenia fragrance, and it really does. This is a very vintage, or not a very, I mean, this is a 2001 batch because I wanted to smell, you know, older formulation and newer. And the newer does have more of a kind of clean smell, and this has a little bit more like thick complexity feeling to it. And I can smell both that it would be sexy to a lot of people, and I can smell that it can be very overwhelming. It's very floral smelling too. Like obviously it is florals, but sometimes things are blended so you don't actually like really smell like the petals, but this is like, I can really smell that it's floral. Hey, Cozy Adventures. So I was just talking about my fragrances that are gardenia and tuberose, both notes heavy in them, and most of them are vintage. And the one that I think is the most famous of the profile is Fracas, which, yeah, I already said this earlier, but like this was like Madonna's favorite, and various other sort of audacious female celebrities that like to take up a lot of space and be sort of in your face. And it does have that in your face quality. So there's something that I'm like seduced by, like kind of interested in this, and also I'm sort of like repelled by. So that's Fracas. Then let's see, Amarige. I feel like I need to look up what other notes are in Amarige, because Amarige smells more complex than a lot of these. Amarige. Okay. It's got orange blossom that like sweetens up and sort of smooths out the profile when there's also orange blossom in it. And it has carnation too, so that adds like a spicy sweet floral. It also has ylang ylang, so that adds like a bit of like tropical, almost salty floral. And then it has fruits, black currant and orange and plum. So yeah, and woods and amber. vanilla. So this one is more complex, but also sort of more easy wearing because it's smoother. It's not as like pow pow in your face, Gardenia and Tuberose. This one, but this one in combination with others is one of the ones that my friend said made it smell like popcorn in here. I don't smell the popcorny, but I think he meant like movie theater popcorn, and which is cooked in like coconut oil. So there's like a very particular kind of, it's not like a dairy butter, but it's almost like a coconut butteriness. And that I can kind of understand. But I like this one. I like Amarish. And then I have, what is this? Gardenia Passion. And this one I actually really like. It smells more like fresh gardenia, like a fresh version, not a like indolic dying gardenia. Hi, Cozy Ventures. I just realized that I was saying fracas, and I think it's actually fracas. It's French, I think. The perfumer is Robert Piget. So fracas is probably actually how you say it, not fracas. So I'm continuing on with a couple more Tuberose and Gardenia, both notes, heavy fragrances. The last two are powdery versions, like a kind of powdery vanilla or vanillic version. One is Organza by Givenchy. It's a fun bottle. This is a little mini dabber, but it has this like kind of dress silhouette. Organza is a fabric that beautiful dresses are made out of. And this one, is, yeah, sweeter, powderier. I can smell citrus off of it. More vanilla than a lot of these that are just really just featuring like the heavy floral. Definitely vintagey smelling. Kind of a not as much baby powder, but like a perfumed makeup powder kind of smell. And there's something indolic in it, and I imagine that's the Gardenia and Tuberose. Like it smells a little bit like there's a little bit of, what is that smell? But then that smell can also be sexy. So that's Organza. And then this one is the only one I think that I'm talking about right now that is not a vintage. And it is a by Kilian, Voulez-vous coucher avec moi? And this one also is a powdery version of this scent profile. And it like harkens back to vintage, but it does smell somehow more modern, maybe in how smooth it is. It smells like perfumed makeup powder, but in a sort of sweeter, smoother way. It's more blended. I really like this one. It makes me think of like, this is what can dancers at Moulin Rouge would wear if they were trying to smell sort of more upscale. Yeah, I like this one. Voulez-vous coucher avec moi? Hi, Cozy Adventures. I'm continuing on with the fragrances I have that are featuring both Gardenia and Tuberose. And yeah, as I've been doing this part of my exploration, this is my last big category before I am totally done doing deep dives in the stuff I found this year. There'll be other florals that I haven't highlighted before that I can do next year, but really I've had like a very intensive year of fragrance exploration, and now I'm ready to just kind of like enjoy and be more playful with it. But concentrating deeply, like doing deep dive into different notes is really helpful, because I start to like really be like, oh, I think this other one has these notes in it, and that's what that makes me feel, and da da da. So one that is heavily tuberose and gardenia, but also super complex with other notes. There's kind of a vanilla and coffee element, is Good Girl, and a lot of the other Good Girl flankers, like I think most of them have kind of the original Good Girl in them, and then other things added. So even if they aren't listed in the notes, usually they're in them. Like the Good Girl Jasmine Absolute that I've been really into lately. That's like a sexy, yeah, alluring fragrance with like some caramel added to the Good Girl and more intense jasmine. Anyway, Good Girl's known to be this sexy fragrance, and I think largely what gives it that is that tuberose gardenia, like thick feeling. There's just this underlying kind of creamy, thick floral that's sort of humid and sexy, even though it has a lot of other things. So it doesn't smell like these other ones I'm talking about that are like primarily gardenia and tuberose. But yeah, I can smell it now that it's like a big part of what Good Girl is. So a couple other outliers that I have are Passion by Elizabeth Taylor, which is another one that's complicated, very vintagey smelling. I don't even know how to describe it. It's like very grandma perfume if you're of like a millennial or Gen X, our grandmas. Smelled more like this. Very perfumey. Darker and more spicy, I think, than a lot of these other ones. But yeah, still with that thick. I think there's probably carnation in this one too. I smell like a spicy, that might be the carnation. Yeah, it's like not something I want to go out smelling like, but it's something that I think is fun to wear sometimes and just like feel like the grandmas of the world are with me, supporting me. So that's Passion by Elizabeth Taylor. Hey, Cozy Ventures. So another non-vintage fragrance that I am looking at today for tuberose and gardenia, both notes in one fragrance, is Nishne 100 Silent Ways X. I don't have the original, unfortunately. But this one I think has really nice projection and scent bubble, and is long lasting. Definitely sweeter than these vintage ones. Like sweeter and maybe more of a underlyingly vanillic or ambery way, but like modern amber. So my problem with this one is that it's a little too heavy dose of Ambrox, which for me is like the smell equivalent of kind of nails on a chalkboard. It just smells like scratchy and I don't like it. So that is 100 Silent Ways X. I don't know if the original would give me the same reaction. Maybe the original wouldn't have as much of that Ambrox. And it's not like I don't like anything with Ambroxan. I totally do. It's like a certain threshold that once it's crossed, things smell bad to me. So like there's some perfumes that have Ambroxan that like if I spray one spray on each shoulder or arm, it's good. But if I double up, it becomes scratchy and gross ambroxan-y smelling kind of thing. So actually I'm gonna start another little video. Hi Cozy Adventures. So the last several fragrances that I have in the, actually, and one of them doesn't even technically list a gardenia note. But the last several that I have in my Gardenia Tuberose, both notes together, fragrances, are four that I saw some other YouTuber talk about being like of the same family of best tuberose fragrances. Tuberose and white florals, and they were actually starting out talking about this one, which is Michael Kors Signature, which is a been discontinued. And I think I actually like this the most of these fragrances, but there's something almost banana-y about it, which I don't know if I like. I'm not sure. But this one actually doesn't list gardenia, even though people kind of smell gardenia on it. It's more of a tuberose fragrance. And these other ones this YouTuber was mentioning as like other possibilities to look into if you can't get a hold of this one, since it's not really around anymore. You'd have to spend a lot of money to get a like full bottle on eBay or Mercari or something. But I think I got this for, you know, more than it originally would have cost, but an okay amount, so I could try it. Yeah, I think maybe the their gardenia does make it more like super unabashedly in your face floral. And the tuberose has something softer going on without the gardenia. That's sweet. It can go bubblegummy, but these fragrances are more of the floral smelling than the bubblegum smell. Yeah. So the other ones this YouTuber suggested were Kim Kardashian's initial signature fragrance, I believe. And it does smell kind of similar to the Michael Kors. I could smell the sort of more chemically smell, which I know doesn't really make sense because they all have chemicals in them. But probably in the base, there's sort of a cheaper chemical base or something that I smell in it. But it does have somewhat of a similarity. A little less sweetness than the Michael Kors. And then Tocca by Tocca's Florence was another one in this category that was suggested, or I've seen it suggested by kind of a lot of people when people are bringing up the Michael Kors signature. To me, this is more heady floral, a little less soft and blended, a little more powdery grandma, which I don't find a negative thing necessarily, you know. I don't know what all's on my hand, but they're starting to mix together in a really nice way. But I like it. It's not one I don't like, the Tocca. I don't know if I need to keep it, because even though I like the smell of it, it's not like I'm gonna wear it. So I'll have to decide about that. But it's also a mini, and that's cute, so maybe I will keep it. And then lastly, I have Kayali's Deja Vu White Flower, which does list Tahitian vanilla, and it has orange flower, so it should be kind of smoother and sweeter version. Let's see. Yeah, immediately a lot more vanilla than these other ones. like that same vanilla, that's in vanilla 28 kind of vanilla, like a bit of a dark. It's yummy vanilla. This is Tahitian vanilla. It's interesting smelling this after smelling all these other ones, because I can really smell the sweetness and the vanilla in it. And it also smells more modern, maybe because of that vanilla, and more smoothly blended. So that's Kayali's Deja Vu White Flower. And I think this finishes up my Gardenia fragrances. Next, I'll be doing Tuberose, Tuberose heavy fragrances that don't have Gardenia, that are not like bubblegum candy kind of Tuberose. Hi Cozy Adventures. I'm continuing on with my exploration of Tuberose and Gardenia fragrances, and I did Gardenia heavy fragrances, then fragrances that were both Tuberose and Gardenia, because there's a lot of those. And now I am in the just Tuberose ones. And most of these, I think there's really only one or two that have a bubblegummy Tuberose, because I already did that exploration earlier this year when I was doing like candy fragrances. I did some bubblegum. So these are mostly more of a thick, fleshy, humid, sweet Tuberose that's not like super bubblegummy, more flower. But I'll start with the bubblegummy ones, and I think I already talked about these when I was doing the bubblegum Tuberose, which is the L'Entre de Rouge fragrances. So I have the L'Entre de Rouge EDP and the Ultime, L'Entre de Rouge Ultime. Ultime is the most bubblegummy. It also has a cacao shell note. And the L'Entre de Rouge, I smell more of a patchouli in it. It's still really, really sweet, thick, like heavy, humid floral, but with a lot of sweetness, and yeah, some of that bubblegumminess, and then this patchouli. But I found that I really like layering both of these, not right on top of each other, but a spray of each, like on each side, something like that. And then you get a really sexy scent bubble from it. And you could from just one. If I was wearing just one, I'd probably wear L'Entre de Rouge, not the Ultime, because the Ultime is a little bit too bubblegummy for me on its own. And kind of opaque. It's hard to describe. The original L'Entre de Rouge is a little bit more musky. But together, I think it really makes this sexy combo. So I really like them. And then, similarly, Rouge Malachite by Armani is a very Tuberose heavy, sexy scent. A lot of people that like one like L'Entre de Rouge like this one as well. But this one doesn't have the patchouli, or if it does, it's very minimal. But it also has a little less sweetness. It's a little less intoxicating to me. So that is Rouge Malachite, but it has Tuberose in every, like they have it in the beginning, mid, and the dry down list of notes. So it's very Tuberose heavy if you love Tuberose. Hi Cozy Adventures, continuing on with my Tuberose fragrances. This next little section all feel related to me in some way. I have Hypnotic Poison, the EDT. I have Regular Poison EDT. I have Narciso Rodriguez Musk Noir Rose, and I have Blanche Bette. And so Blanche Bette is this very magical, I think it actually has a note called mystical Flormond that has a lot of vanilla and probably tonka in it and licorice and stuff, but it also has a pretty heavy incense, especially in the summer. The incense smells more heavy. I think in cooler months the incense was less heavy and I liked it a little bit more. It was a little bit more magical to me. In the summer it's like gets a little too like thick with the incense for me, but it also has tuberose as part of what makes it this, like, I want to say ethereal, but it's not like ethereal in the super light way, because the tuberose lends it some thickness, the tuberose and the incense. So I realized that it does remind me of hypnotic poison, which I learned that I like more actually in the summer. I think it just sweetens up. And yeah, I really like the almond. I like nutty notes, I think, in the summer. I like almond and pistachio. There's something sexy about that. And then the tuberose with that almond and licorice. So it actually kind of is similar to Blanche Bête, but without the incense, which I hadn't realized. So that's hypnotic poison and Blanche Bête. And then regular poison starts out really intensely perfumey in a like 80s department store over the top cacophony. So it's intense when you first spray it, but as you wear it, it gets lighter and sweeter and sweeter, and it goes through a phase that smells very much like Musk Noir Rose, like the deeper dry down. So much so that I like wonder if Musk Noir Rose was on purpose, trying to being like, let's see if we can make the like best phases of poison without that super heavy, over the top, very vintagey beginning. So that is Musk Noir Rose and Poison. Hey, Cozy Adventures. I realized I was talking about my tuberose fragrances, and I ended the last section talking about Poison and Dior's Poison, original vintage fragrance, and Narciso Rodriguez Musk Noir Rose, and I didn't really describe them. Both of them have a plummy rose with later on in the poison it turns musky. This one is musky the whole time, the Narciso, and then it gets really sweet later on, and there's a tuberose throughout, and I think probably both have orange blossom too that gives it this sweetness later on, and it gets, both of them toward the end of their wear get like sweeter and sweeter and kind of lighter and lighter in a way that really smells similar to each other. And they're both known for being really sexy, and tuberose is probably a big part of that. Hey, Cozy Adventures. I have a couple more vintagey fragrances now. This is Fire and Ice by, is it Revlon? I think it might be by Revlon. Yeah. This one makes such a strong scent bubble, and it has an intoxicating kind of ambery, syrupy citrus going on besides the tuberose. The tuberose adds another layer, makes it more like Flormond than a gourmand. It reminds me of Dalal by, what is it called? It was the first Al Rahab. It reminds me of Dalal, although Dalal has some sort of cologne-y, like a little bit of masculine or unisex thing going on that this doesn't have. This is pretty straight sweet. Yeah, syrupy, honeyed. fruity, tuberose. And yeah, just like one spray really is a nice strong scent. I really like it. I just don't know how much I want to wear it out and about because I don't know what other people's associations are with this fragrance profile, but I enjoy it. It also smells similar to Cashmere, which is also like an ambery, syrupy, vanilla. This one smells less vanilla and more Flormond, but yeah, there's things that they have in common. And then I have Lancome's Poem. This is actually from 1997, this decant. This one is much more floral bouquet, but it has tuberose and I think orange blossom. It's a much lighter syrupy sweetness, not like that thick syrup in here. It's got a little more of that vintagey feel, kind of powderiness. This one doesn't really have powderiness, but it's smooth. It's really well blended. I think more well blended and smoother to wear and less obviously vintage than a lot of other fragrances from the same time. So that's Lancome Poem. It's very pretty. I like that its name is Poem. Cozy Adventures. So next in my exploration of tuberose fragrances, I have Scandal Absolu. I can't remember, it might be in like pretty much all of the Scandal fragrances, and Alien Fusion. And these have a similar feeling when you wear them. And Scandal Absolute actually reminded me a little bit of what Good Girl Jasmine Absolute, which is one of my favorites right now, is like, but it's got a little bit more heaviness. And that's something I noticed from Jean Paul Gaultier, is that lots of times there's this sort of heaviness that tinges into animalic smelling and kind of slightly grosses me out. But I know that that often is something that makes things sexy and intoxicating for people. But yeah, I don't quite love Jean Paul Gaultier's fragrances, even if I think I do. Like when I spray it again later, I'm like there's always something, some little thing. It reminds me of Tom Ford. Tom Ford lots of times has something that like just dirties stuff up that makes it a little bit naughty. But this one's like a little more over the top with that, like a little more vulgar. And this one has black fig. It feels like a black fig that's drenched in syrupy honey, and maybe like browned, like a caramelized fig. And yeah, tuberose and sandalwood. And yeah, it's got this kind of thick, intoxicating scent bubble that and some complexity going on that reminds me of the Good Girl Jasmine Absolute, but it also grosses me out slightly. And then Alien Fusion is also, oh, and it's super duper duper sweet. And Alien Fusion is also super duper sweet, pretty thick. It's a little less thick, a little less dark. It has some spice in it that I like, and I think it has orange blossom, which kind of lightens and sweetens things up in a certain way. But it does have a nice strong tuberose. When I first spray it, it smells a little peppery for me. Like I'm like, what's that? But then the peppery fades and then I really like it. What keeps me from like loving it is that it does have something that smells like department store-y chemically, and I don't know what that is, but if y'all who know what that sort of smells like, it does have some of that going on. But it is a cool fragrance. It's like thick, sexy tuberose, but with some spice. Hi, Cozy Adventures. So my last 3 tuberose fragrances I'm going to highlight are all on the more straight up floral, not floral Flormond side. And the first one is a vintage Fleur, which is very vintage. This is like, I can't remember when it was first made, like in the 1800s, something like that. But it's very, very strongly, some would say, over the top floral with a little bit of powderiness. And supposedly Princess Diana wore this on her wedding day. For me, I am someone that tends to get headachy and kind of overwhelmed by more heady florals that don't have a grounding feeling. It feels sort of like hearing like screechy, high-pitched sound, but for smell. And in the bottle, I don't really smell that. It smells like a pretty kind of light floral, but with that tuberose sweetness, like a floral sweetness, not like a heavier sweetness. I think there also is some sandalwood and vanilla in the dry down, but it stays pretty floral, like in your face floral throughout the wear. So it's not for me, because once I spray it, it's just too much floral and it can start to make me feel headachy. But for people that love a floral bouquet fragrance and want to feel connected to a very old, very special, kind of timeless floral fragrance, you might really like this one, Fleur. And then I have two that are more modern. One is Dosan from Diptyque, and I can still smell it from spraying it in here yesterday. It really smells, these last two really smell like more like you're in the garden, like smelling sort of intoxicating floral blooming fragrance. This one I think I like as well when I just smell it. But yeah, on my skin and in the wear, it goes too heady floral for me, a little too headachy. Similar to Fleur. Fleur is definitely heavier on like other florals. This is definitely more of a tuberose, the Dosan. Tuberose scented fragrance. But yeah, it just makes me feel like a little headachy in my sinuses. So I don't really like that one. But I do like Frederic Malle's Carnal Flower. This one is also like straight up like garden. Feel like you're in a garden. You can smell kind of the green along with the petals. And it's like a very green fragrance when you first spray it. I feel like I can smell the dirt too, but I kind of like that. It smells like leaves and dirt with a little bit of like fresh floral sweetness. And then as it dries down, the tuberose floral fragrance comes more center, and it just stays like on a heavier side of a tuberose in a way that I like. That doesn't get like heady in a way that gives me headaches. So I feel like this is maybe the best, or I'll do a little best. So I'll pick a few bests and share them next. Hey Cozy Adventurers. I have been exploring Gardenia and Tuberose fragrances this week, and these are my top 3 that I found that are new to me. The first one is Gardenia by Elizabeth Taylor. I was exploring 3 groups. I was exploring Gardenia fragrances, Gardenia and Tuberose together, and Tuberose fragrances. So this is my favorite of the Gardenia. And it really smells like they artistically made a fragrance to smell as much like a fully bloomed gardenia in the garden. And if you like that, then you would like it, and if you don't like that, then you won't like it. So that's Gardenia by Elizabeth Taylor. And then for Gardenia and Tuberose mixed, the one that was new to me that I fell for the most is Kilian's Voulez-vous coucher avec moi. Like, it's now one that I really want a bottle of. And this is a thick, sweet kind of makeup powder. The image I have in my head is of like Can girls at Moulin Rouge in Paris. That it's both like the makeup powder and powdery, but it also is this like sexy kind of carnal thing going on with the tuberose and the gardenia. There's a little rose in it too. But yeah, I really like it. Like this smells, you know how some fragrances you like this one I like, but I don't think I want to go around smelling like it. This one feels more like me, or like a version of me. The showgirl in me. So that's Voulez-vous coucher avec moi. And then if you want a more sort of straight up floral like the gardenia is, but with gardenia and tuberose, I would go with fracas or fracas, which is one that like Madonna used to wear and a lot of different celebrities have worn. That's a sexy gardenia tuberose fragrance. And then for tuberose, I pick Carnal Flower, and this one also smells like, this is really the flower out in the garden, but it starts even more green. Like I smell the leaves and dirt in a way I like in a way that feels photorealistic. I like that none of these three smell like overly perfumey. They more smell like what they say they are. Like they smell like these flowers. Or the Voulez-vous coucher smells like the Can.